All right, good morning, my YouTube family. Actually, if I'm being literal, it's afternoon. But as promised, I released a Tesla mobile app explained video, and I'm gonna release the. Currently, we're working on the Sense, and that's what you're looking at. So this is a Sense home energy monitoring application, and as comprehensive as possible. More so than the Tesla, this has a lot of information. So I'm gonna run you guys through as much as possible before I get fatigued. And hopefully it would open your knowledge base to whatever questions you may have pertaining to Sense and the application and the features. Forgive me again, there's no face-to-face portrayal in these videos because I'm just doing the application and I don't want to overcomplicate it. I think you'll see my face enough and you're going to see my face a whole lot in the future. So that's not important. And it's not about seeing my face. For me, it's important only to, how you says, to relate to you directly. That way you're not speaking to just, or you're just not viewing or witnessing to just a voice, but you actually know the person behind the voice, because I'm not afraid to portray myself, right? So without further ado, let me go into my initial spiel to you guys and to say, you're my family. I love you because God loves you. And you know my position on God because without him, there's nothing greater. And so with that, I'm going to say, God bless you all. And I pray that all things that you endeavor in life come to fruition through his grace, mercy, and truth. All right. So with no further ado, with this application, this is the Sense home energy monitoring application for the Sense unit. One of my previous video, I defined the Sense inside of the panel box, how it connects and how it interfaces with the house. Is real simple. It's just a control unit that has Wi-Fi capability. It has a detached remote antenna that you can penetrate throughout the box, so you don't create like a Ferrite cage locking the signal into that metal box. So you penetrate through the box through one of the punch-out holes, and then you're available to pick up your home network or Wi-Fi, and it connects to that accordingly. And then you have two CTs, which means current transformers that go over line 1 and line 2 for your mains coming into your house. And on each leg, it would monitor the legs individually, and it has a machine algorithm that actually knows the signature of a lot of home appliances and different type of technologies. And even if it doesn't, it can extrapolate a particular electrical signal that remains constant and repeats itself over time, and then just associated to either a heating or a motor or some kind of device. And then what you do is, once they identify a particular signature, it label it accordingly, whether it's a heat source, a motor, or a device, or some other options there. And then what will happen is you can say, okay, I have device 1 or heat 1, motor 1. And so you just check your house. And when you go, I like the search, I like the search. So, if it says heat 1, typically for me, I got a lot of those, and it was related to like the stove, because my stove have various amount of burners on it. So, it's just depending on what my wife is doing would determine whether it's actually a frequently used burner, or she happened to use a burner she don't regularly use, so it identify another heat source. And the more, how you say, the more significant the energy is, or the energy consumption, or the energy signature is, the more definitive it is with the identification process. But I'm going to show you my device list, and it's quite comprehensive, and this has been in play for about a year now, I would say. I've had this Sense. No, that's not true. I did the solar came alive in March, and I had it just before. So yeah, so it's not quite that. It's probably about 8 months, 6 months. Call it 6 months. So it's identified a lot of stuff in that time frame, and there's some stuff I'm still hunting actually. But I have a lot of moving parts in my house, so sometimes it's difficult. All right, well, enough of me rambling. Let's just get into this. So what you see here is the initial page. This page here defines the bubbles. You can deactivate those bubbles, enable a bubble. I like the bubbles. And what they do, they identify certain particular aspects of your home. The always on is things like your, well, before we get into the bubbles, as you can see, currently there's two versions of this sense energy. You have the non-solar and the solar. The only real difference is that if you get the solar, it comes with 2 additional CTs for solar. And if you get the non-solar, it's still the same unit. It just doesn't come with the CTs. You'll have to buy them later. You can buy them later on, and add them if you so desire. Or if you know you're going to do solar, you just buy the solar. It's like $50 more, and that's what you're going to pay for the CTs additionally if you buy later on anyway. So if you know you're going to do solar, just buy it, and that way you have it. You can still set up the sense without activating the solar, and that way you have it for when your solar do come online. Boom, you're ready to go, rather than trying to get it at that point. At least that's me. You do what works for you. So if you see to the left here of the screen where you have the little sun and it's saying 6,227 watts, 6.2 kilowatts, that is currently the solar coming in, and you have a bubble that's depicting that up here on the screen as well. If you touch the bubble, it shows you the wattage associated with it. Well, you can see it here. But for other devices that's come on, these are only 2 main scenarios. So you have your production here, which is your solar, and then and to the right of that, you have your consumption, which 404 watts, it's 408 watts, whatever it was at that time, is actually what's being consumed currently at the house. All right, so we're killing it. As you can see, that consumption is identified based on, you would tell the app what you pay per kilowatt, so it can extrapolate right beneath each of these numbers what you're benefiting, what you're creating in terms of costs, or utilizing in terms of cost. So if you look at the home consumption, it's 4 cents an hour right now. So if this stays at 400 watts, I'm paying 4 cents an hour. That's super cheap, right? Wait till my family come home, that number changed drastically, but that's why I have solar to offset that. And then currently I'm making 68 cents per hour with the current production that's being yielded. We're starting to get some clouds rolling into the area, and it's at 12 o'clock, so I know we got a lot of accumulation up there now. The clouds are starting to organize, so while we're doing this video, we're probably going to see that power shifting in terms of production, because of clouds coming into the area, starting to organize in the sky, getting ready for the typical and very, very consistent thunderstorms here in Florida. All right, so left with the sun is solar production, right is home consumption. All right, get that. So I did, if you touch the bubbles, they'll tell you what the actual wattage is being, and you can see that correlates with what it's saying down there. But look, let's go to always on. Always on is saying 235 watt. That stays constant for much. So like the first day or two, what this sense unit is going to do, it's going to monitor your house, and it's going to look for signatures that do not change. And then it's going to label those things as always on. They don't go off. And that's going to be the kind of stuff like alarm, the energy used for that phones, wireless phones, the LEDs on your TVs or your tuner display, or stuff that's always on in your house. It's a constant draw. So my always on, it has been consistently 235, 250, depends. If I do a reset in the beginning, I did a reset a couple of times just to kind of provoke the system, trying to get it to, how you say it, interrogate the system to see what differences, what kind of results transpire by resetting, and trying to provoke it to identify other type of or instigate it to identify other type of appliances in my house, and it works really well. There's really nothing you can do to instigate a different result. It does just fine, and you just have to have patience, right? And you'll see. It's a great device, and I think it's worth it. I think, if I'm not mistaken, it's $300 for the Sense. Don't quote me on that. I can't even remember. I'm trying to think what mine was when I bought it. is it 300 and then 350 if you want the solar, or is it 250 and then 300 if you want the solar? But it's one of those two variables, I can tell you that definitively. All right. So with that said, so look, so the home has dropped, but you see we went down to 288 there from 400, but we're still at 235. So the next bubble in the list is the other. Now the other is just energy being used, but that number varies. So it's saying something was drawing a little bit more energy, but now is whatever it was that was on, it's not off. So, I have chargers, I have laptops, I got multiple laptops. So, as the laptop battery maxes out, the supplied energy, it cycles the battery sometimes. And when the battery naturally discharges, it charges it back up, all kind of various stuff. Same thing with cell phones. So something could have dropped out somewhere in the house. I have a ton of Wi-Fi enabled devices, so it could be a draw on that particular device as well. I mean, the list goes on. You guys are competent enough to know what I'm talking about. Anything that draws power can vary. And that's what other is. So when devices that aren't identified, it gets lumped into the other circle, and that number can, I mean, that particular bubble can get really big at times. But my house is pretty much listed. So other does grow, but it's not as big as it can be, especially in my house, the AC scenario. So let's do a little thing before we go on. Let's do a little example, and I have my AC off right now. Of course, I'm exploiting the sunlight. I'm trying to put, right now you can see I'm putting most of that 6 kilowatts that you was just seeing, it was going to my battery charging. And I'm trying to, my batteries rather. So we're at 66% on the batteries charge. Try to get the 100% before the kids and the wife get home from school and work. That way, when they start consuming, which they do, trust me. And we're going to go into our load testing, and you're going to see exactly the ridiculous numbers my house do at time, but you'll see. Our home is a very active home. Let's leave it as that. But hence why I did solar. And that's some of the reasons why you choose to go the renewable energy, is because it affords you the ability to have a little more consumption. Yeah, you still should be energy minded. And we are, because everything is LED in our house, and we don't use energy unnecessarily. We got a lot of smart switches, so we can monitor the house utilization. If lights have forgot on, we can set timers. We can do all kind of stuff to ensure that the house is optimized. Look, our house is about heated space is about 2,800 square feet, and as you can see, the house on a whole right now is only pulling 390 watts, and that's with laptops and surfaces and all kind of different devices currently running. Like I said, most of our light switches are Wi-Fi enabled. They to be perfectly clear, they're like a TP-Link 200 switches, so you can turn lights on remotely and all that good stuff. So they all that is energy, and then we have a whole bunch of Alexa devices and stuff like that. So again, so all these things are drawing. If we were to unplug everything, that number would shrink tremendously. Okay, so with that said, I said I was going to do something here so you can see how this works. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn on my AC remotely, of course. And so bear with me. All right, I'm getting it up now. So I'm going to turn the AC back on so you can see the bubble for the AC pop in there. Hit cool, submit, and she should kick in right now, because right now the house set point is set to 82. And see, something is happening. See, stuff is surging. Give it a second. She's going to kick in here shortly. And then you're going to see the AC bubble kicks in, and then you're going to see the distribution of energy. So while that's happening, I'll continue to talk. So beneath that, as you can see, it outlines the day. Okay, AC just popped on. Before I go any further, boom, she just popped in. So look, the house utilization went up to 3,500 or 5,500. Hold on, we got a little reset going on. Okay, and the AC itself, which isn't bad, right? 4 ton is pulling 2.8. 2.9, let's see, what is that actually? So 2.9 kilowatts. I think what happened is the compressor kicked in first, and then the air handler kicked in afterward. So So 2.9, call it 3 kilowatts, right? Boom. And that's how it works. So that bubble kicks in. And so if we were looking at the Tesla app now, we would see the distribution of energy. Most of that is going to come from, and I can look at it here. I'm not going to do a side-by-side on this scenario because I'll just translate to you guys, because we're going to do a lot of energy consumption episodes. So you're going to get to see the Tesla app and how this energy gets distributed. So my translation of what's happening on the Tesla app right now is 2.7 kilowatts is coming from the solar going to the house, and then the remaining 3 kilowatts is coming from the battery. So now solar went above what the house is demanding. So it's actually now given the full energy is coming from the solar to the house, which is 3.8 kilowatts, and 2.5 kilowatts is still going to the battery. So battery is being charged still, and we're pushing 3.8 kilowatts to the house from all solar provider, and you can see the numbers here. So just subtract what the house consumption is from that 6.4, and then all the remainder of that is going to the battery to continue in the effort of charging the battery. This is what it's about, gentlemen. Oh, ladies as well. Sorry, guys. I can run the house completely. AC running, solar is providing all this free energy. This is what it's about. And I try to tell you guys, man, it's people turn their nose up against this. Is me. You can move the bubbles around, you can play with them, they're kind of cool. But they turn their nose up against this. They look at that initial investment and be like, oh, that's too much. But think about it. You can pay for this loan for whatever system you get for over 20 years. The two options Tesla offers, 10 and 20 years. Yes, you can pay for your electricity for 20 plus years as well. If you use a referral code, you get a 25-year additional 5 years on your 20-year warranty. Guys, it's a no-brainer. Pay for it, put a little extra towards it, pay down before the 20 years, and then your energy is free. Like right now, I mean, it's all relative, right? But right now, I mean, I'm cooling my house for free, whereas without solar, I would be paying for that, yeah? And some people say, well, you got to pay back. Yes, you do, but you got to pay back. So just like you got to pay back for a car you purchased, right? But once you pay that car off, there's no payment. And guess what? You have a car. That's the benefit. All right. And you protect yourself against inflation. So yes, whereas your payments aren't going to go up for your solar, your interest solar. But what does go up is inflation. So the electricity costs will go up over time. And then what? So anyway, that's not what this video is about, so I'm not going to go off on a tangent on that. So I just wanted to show you guys, I'm going to shut off the AC, and you're going to see the bubble change. Actually, let's do this. So what I'm going to show you, so when I shut off this, there's two options up here for display, right? You have the bubble, and then you have the dynamic graph, which shows you concurrently how the house drawer is being utilized per time. And you can see the time scrolling across the bottom. Here you have your solar, which is higher than your consumption. The lighter color is the solar, the darker, no quite colors to tell you these are, but light and dark, let's go with that, is the home consumption. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to shut off the AC right now so you can see the AC drop out, and it would actually tell you on the graph, on the trend in here, that has happened. So here we go. Shutting off the AC, submit, boom. And so give it a few, and then once we just show that, I'm gonna give you guys some examples of what to expect with the sense, and you'll see, so you're starting to see a little bit of movement in the home and changing because of what's impending, right? So, and that little value plus 11 watts, you see those kind of stuff, especially if the house is active, as the current fluctuate up or below the certain threshold, you'll see the changes, and they depict that number there to identify where changes has occurred in the flow of power or energy consumption or not. So it takes a little while for the AC to kick off, so bear with me. We're just going to tolerate that for a little while, which I know going to make the video a little longer, but gives you that practical exercise. So here we go. Let me show you down below here. I don't want to go too far, but so you don't see the AC, so you don't miss the AC dropping out. But as you see, a plastic kettle. Look at this kind. Some of the stuff is identified. The toaster kettle. This is my family waking up in the morning, making breakfast, getting ready for their day, right? Ice maker, and I can go microwave, all these type of stuff. It picked up the ice maker on the fridge, guys. I mean, that's impressive, right? So the machine algorithm that Sense is using is superior. Now look at that. See that? So the AC dropped out, and it tells you by how much. 1500 watts. Well, why is it 1500 watts? Well, because that's the variance of change. That was just a compressor. You still got the air handler that has to drop out and whatever else, and then we'll drop down even farther. So, yeah, you see, so what caused that variance? It tells you AC. Brilliant, right? So you can monitor this stuff. You can come back, and there's historical data. So you can come back and scroll. Once it drops out, with the air handler drops out, I'll compress the screen and show you exactly how far back you can go out and how dense you can make it, or how undense you can make it, right? I don't know if that's proper English, but you guys get what I'm saying. So, and then we'll go. But like I said, down below in today, and that was today, it tells you the date, all stuff. But if you scroll beyond that, you can go beyond today, yesterday, and you go way back. I mean, guys, it goes back. I mean, the information is vast. They did a great job. And this is the app base. I'm actually making this video on my tablet, but there's a web base as well, so you can do it from a computer on a web page in Explorer, Firefox, whatever you choose, your preference are, Chrome, Apple Safari, if you're Apple, whatever. It doesn't matter. So if you want to monitor your system on your desktop, you can. Okay. No problem. See, so the compressor just dropped out there. See, so the compressor doesn't have a label. It didn't identify that AC motor for not the compressor. Stand correct. The air handler, the fan in the air handler. It hasn't identified yet. So you just see the change, and now we're down to about 367, 370, whatever. So it dropped off. So that was about 300, maybe 200 and something watts difference, right? So now we're back. We're maximizing our solar, we're energy. The house, again, I told you, heated space is 2,800 square foot house, and we at the consumption right now. I'm the only one home, so the only thing you're seeing is 368 watts, 370 watts. That's not bad, right? So we go back to the bubbles, and with the bubbles, let's see, look at the others. So remember before earlier I showed you that, and that was much higher. So whatever else was running in the house that's a lot of other things that aren't running anymore, aren't pulling for additional energy. So with that said, so that's the dynamic screening, whether it's the bubbles or the trending graph. You see here, I showed you to the left, you have your solar coming inbound production, and then you have the home consumption, depicted by how much money you're making an hour and how much money you're losing an hour. And if I subtract that 4 cents from that 66 cents, I'm making moolah, right? As my friend Guillermo always says, cha-ching. All right. So, and I'm being how you say it? Green, I guess. But neither here or there. So as I was saying earlier, so this list is very, very significant. If you look, I mean, we're going on and we're going back to dates, you know what I mean? And on and on and all this stuff. Look, this is some of the stuff that my house, my Ream water heater, you can even identify the iron from where it adds. So because I plug the iron, our master bedroom, the iron gets utilized in a certain place. So it would be different. Even we had the same iron, it would be different than another iron in one of the other bedrooms or in another location in the house. So I can safely say that was the master bedroom iron because I know it to be a fact because of the distance, the length from the CTs. That drawer is going to be different. The signature for it, even though it's going to be the mechanical algorithm is going to be close enough for it to know it's an iron signature, but which iron is how it's depicted based on what's actually being utilized, because the iron going to be consistent. It's just the length of wire across the draw from the source is going to change slightly based on loss, right? Because of the distance. And on. Microwave, washer was on 14 times. It does that. So instead of just keep saying washer on, because that's the washer spool and spin and go into different modes, it'll show the washer going off and on. It just combines them, and if you click on the plus associated with that, you can see every single time and for how long the washer was operating through its different cycles. It's brilliant stuff. They really did a very comprehensive job in this. And we can just keep going on and on, but it becomes consistent after a while, the disposal in the kitchen, because it's the same devices. I have to see this one here that says light 1 was on for an hour. I know that's something I gotta figure out which light that is. When that came in, when they identified that light, I was out of town, and they have notifications that will tell you when it comes on and go off. So I have to look at that, and I'll go back into that and look at that and see when the last time it was on, and then try to extrapolate where it is in the house. I wasn't here, so that's going to be a little hard, but I can just go around the house turning every light on and off, but probably won't do that. I'll just wait for the family to do it for me. All right, so that's that. So that's your home page, the now page, right? So to the now page, you have two options. You have the bubble and you have the trending graph. And there it is. Oh, on the trending graph, I forgot to tell you, so on the tablet, this scenario, you pinch. And if you pinch, see, we can condense this. And we can condense the segments. So we go from hour to, we can take it way down. We can even see the solar parabola as it grows throughout the day. See, look how significant that is. And this is going to span 2 days. I can go farther than that if I want. I can span multiple days. See, the 22nd through the 27th. So, and you see all the spikes and the amplitude of power draws and stuff. And is it practical? Not really, but if you just want the overall picture of how your week went, it's great, because you can see your solar, your production, and you can see, like here on the 22nd, that was horrible, right? We had some good amplitudes there, but we had a lot of dropouts, so that must have been a very bad day. Same thing with the 24th, the 23rd wasn't that bad. The 24th was horrible looking as well. So you can get a good picture, but this goes a lot more comprehensive than what I'm doing, okay? So I can just scroll to the right here, and then it gets to there, and I can zoom back in on, make it all small and define again, or definitive. So, and then scroll all the way to the right, and then it'll start trending. Well, I'm probably way out. So let me just do this, get it over here, and then I can shrink it back down, get closer to where it's actually at. Okay, so you have a lot of options there. Just want to show you that tidbit. Okay, so that's your now options. Additionally, so let's say, for instance, solar. I told you can tap the bubble, and it'll show you actually what's being produced via solar, and that goes for all the other bubbles as well. Okay, always on, that didn't change to 35, and the others, which is much lower than it was, right? And then, so let's go back to solar, and if you tap it again after the first tap, see, now you can go right into the trending, to the usage, right? And you can look at specific stuff. This stuff gets great, guys. And I'll show you what I'm talking about. So right now, that's a week information. That was a day information. I can go to a week information. So week solar produces 4.3 kilowatts. Now, it's not that far off from Tesla, guys. And sometimes it varies whether it's a little bit higher than Tesla or a little bit lower. But they're generally very consistent. You can go to a month. And so for the month of, which month? August, we produce almost a megawatt, right? So that's $92 worth of energy. So I'm knocking down my bill, yeah? We haven't had a lot of great days here in Florida because of this rain, but I'm loving the rain, and I'll never knock the rain. Hence why I got batteries to compensate for some of the lack of solar potential. But still good. Think about it. That's $92 off your bill, especially with the consumption rate I have. And then you go out to a year. My system haven't been functioning for a year, so that's it. So that's 4 megawatts. All right, come on, for the year so far. Right, that's what 4,200, 4.2 megawatts. That's energy. That's massive for the year so far. So that's January through August, $471. Good stuff. What's my bill? It's saying my bill is for, what's this, for August? Well, my bill will be, less than $9. We'll see. I'll let you guys know. Let's check that out. So you see, it does, and it does a great job because you tell it how much you pay for your kilowatts. So it doesn't, it's not that horrible. It's not that far off. Keep in mind, that $9 does not include your taxes and all that stuff additional. If you did rent in surge protectors and stuff from your utility, doesn't include those additionals. But it's just straight energy, right? So it's saying based on the month of August, I will be paying $9. See, if you can scroll to the left and go to different months, January, that's what, yeah. So that's the utilization and the, what my cost would be based on the energy consumption for that month. All right, so not bad, right? So far, but now watch this. It even gets more interesting. If I go back today, doesn't matter. If I click into it, right? If I click into it, boom, this is where I love. And here we go. So that's solar. So let's stay on day for now, and I'll show you what I'm talking about. That's for today. So it's saying we have produced 13 kilowatts, which is equal to $1, and the usage of the house is $1. So we're on par with the house usage and with solar. You see the orange here? That's your solar potential, right? That's the solar production. And if I hit usage, that's the consumption. That's from midnight. So there hasn't been any solar, and my batteries were my batteries were dead from the day before, which I can show you here shortly, because of home consumption. So it matters. So for the day, we have used 13 kilowatts, and we have produced 13.3 kilowatts. So actually a little bit, it's actually on par, one for the other. Okay, what gets interesting here is that it tells you what are your biggest offenders, right? So for the day, which is just today, my biggest offender is the AC, which is at 43%, what was it, 43.7%. And it tells you it has used about 5.8 kilowatts. So out of that 13 kilowatts, it's almost half of it has been the AC, right? But still not at a big cost, 64 cents. Throughout the day, that gets cumulative, and it becomes cumulative, right? And that adds up plus everything else that's going on. But you see, it gives you an associated number. It gives you the kilowatts as well as the costs, and that's brilliant. I mean, it does a lot of it covers a lot of the semantics, and makes it easy for you to analyze your home consumption. The other has been, I remember I told you, other is just a combine of a lot of other usage that hasn't been identified to specific devices as yet. So with other, you can see 4.3 kilowatts of that, 47 cents, has been attributed to other. And then always on is 21%, which was 2.8 kilowatts at 31%. The stove this morning, this was when my beautiful wife was cooking breakfast. So that's 0.2 kilowatts at 2 cents. That was an awesome breakfast, by the way. Just let you guys know. My wife is the best cook in the world. Take my word for it. All right. So, and she's also the best wife in the world. Just want to put that out there. I know some of you might argue that point, but I have no desire to debate that. In my eyes, there's no woman in existence better than my wife. Done. All right. With that said, let's get back to it. So, and it just doesn't throw a whole bunch of junk. Only the items that actually got utilized is in this list. And you can see from what I showed you when we were on the now page, there was a lot, we still are kind of, we just drilled into it a little bit. There was a lot of devices that was on. So this is good. It's just only things that actually use energy. Keep in mind, it has light one and the ice maker. The utilization was so minuscule that it just doesn't have a number. It doesn't goes down to the hundredths place on this on the decimal. So it doesn't. It just says, look, you use energy from these items, but we can't really show you what because the utilization was so minuscule, and that's fine. I mean, you don't want to nickel and dime the thing, right? I agree. Some of the stuff is just not relevant, especially if it doesn't have a real impact on the cost. But the things that do, it shows up appropriately, and I like that. Okay, so that's that. So now, what's this thing is so flexible? That's today. So here on the graph, if you just swipe right, it takes you to the previous day. See that? So now and all the numbers to the bottom change to associate to that day. So you see my solar, you see the utilization, the parabola for the solar, the utilization for usage. And so it shows the reality of your home. So look here, usage is $7 and solar was $5. So you see the house used a lot more than solar produced. And the good thing is as you touch like usage, it tells you what that actually is. So we hit usage, 64 kilowatts. I told you my house is a hog, guys. You want to know why I did solar? I have to, man. And I know a lot of you probably say, why didn't you get a bigger system? Because bigger doesn't mean better. I'm only trying to offset. I'm only trying to use what I need because right now, I bet you any money, which is right here, the biggest offender in my case is typically the AC. Gotta remember, Florida becomes very mild in the winter. So the AC hardly comes on in the winter, but you don't really need heat either. So the AC goes away. So imagine if the AC wasn't here in this particular example, which is the AC for once wasn't the biggest consumer. It was actually other, which was at 21 and the AC was at 20. But the reason this day was higher, and you will only see that for my house, is when we run that dryer and laundry is being done. The dryer is a killer. So combined between other and AC and dryer is why I push that number up. Sometimes we even get up to 70 kilowatts. But, and then of course there's an amalgam of other things here as well. But as you can see, solar was 41 kilowatts, which wasn't bad. And then usage was 64. But what I look at and what you guys got to get used to looking at too is 41 kilowatts, guys. Subtract that from 64. What? You see what I'm saying? So truthfully, my day isn't as bad as it looks, right? It's not. Think about it, right? Because my day, what's that? That's a 13 kilowatt variance. Yeah, the 13 kilowatt variance. That's brilliant as far as I'm concerned. So that 64 kilowatts is really only 13 kilowatts. Because between and truthfully it's probably less than that, because what isn't revealed here actually is any stored energy I had reserved in my battery that was utilized as well towards this effort. The Tesla app will show you more in that regard, because Sense doesn't know the difference between solar energy and battery energy in that regard, especially after the sun goes down. Because it's just looking at, well, actually, I take that back. I spoke out of turn. I spoke wrong. It does know the difference between solar and battery energy. What I meant to say is it doesn't record, because as far as it's concerned, battery energy, because it doesn't have CTs to come off of my battery lines, it can't distinguish between grid power and battery power. See what I'm saying now? So once the sun goes down, solar is non-existent, but the batteries are actually running the house after the sun goes down. or even partially during the transition from daylight to night. And then after it becomes night and the inverters go to sleep, then the battery is supplying 100% of the power until they're dead. So, but to the sense, it just looks like grid. So it's saying 64, but it really isn't. All right. So, and you can go back as far as you want. As long as you were trending, as long as the sense energy monitor was up, you can take this joker back as far as you want and see. So let's go back. We went back to Thursday. The house used 49. The solar was 35. Again, these variances are awesome combined to if I was just paying 49. All right. $1 difference in cost. That's how I like it. So, and then if you want to increase that range, you don't want to look at the day, you want to look at the week. Just up here on top, you click on week, and then you can look at that number for the weeks and see where you are. So you can take out the week, and that's last week. It's showing you now. You can, again, scroll to the right and go back week after week after week. So let's just look at last week. Let's just keep it current. And so last week, we utilized 347 and we produced 343. Is that right? No, 343, sorry, 0.8, and we produced 243. So, and the difference in cost between those two is $38 versus $27. So that gives me $11 of cost. Of course, not counting the battery, right? So $11 of cost, which is less if we were to extrapolate how much energy the battery utilized after the sun went down, how much energy the battery compensate for after the sun went down. All right. But again, you see who is the biggest offender over a week span? AC. That's 63%. It's Florida, guys. What else can I tell you, right? That was at 216. Well, that's over a week, guys. So remember that $24 for a week. And the dryer was 70 kilowatts. So big time. It's my house. Let's look at a month. All right. So for that month, we're looking at usage of 123, which is 1.1 kilowatts. 1.1 megawatts. And look at the solar production is 837 kilowatts. So the difference between 123 and 92. So that would be a nice bill, because in truth, you're only looking at $31. That's not bad as far as I'm concerned. And I suspect that to be a little lower too, because again, we're not factoring in the battery scenario here. But again, my point, the biggest culprit is AC. So when we start to cool down here in Florida, and when the AC isn't coming on as much, or it's not coming on at all because I suspend its operation because the house is between the daylight sun and the cold temperature outside, it just balances out lovely. And there's not a lot of complication to it because of one extreme and the other. It's just a nice balance. AC doesn't come in, the house is comfortable. And so that if imagine the 63% wasn't there, which was 686 kilowatts. Subtract that from the 1.1. You know what I mean? That changes the balance of things, right? Because I got a south-facing roof, as you guys seen in the previous balance, right at 28 degrees. The sun is going to be optimally positioned for my roof, and it's going to give me optimal production. So I'm still going to see good numbers unless we have weather. And in the winter, we get those high pressures. So the skies are very clear in the winters. So it's going to change. And again, you guys can be on that journey with me, and I'll have a sequel to this video to show you how those numbers have changed as we go into winter. And whatever else you guys may want me to do, just don't hesitate to ask, right? I'm just trying to get as much information out there as possible for you guys. All right, I think we're spending enough time in the usage. Drill down, we go back. So that's solar. As you can see now, go back one more step. You see solar has diminished, but house is still low on its consumption. That number is raised a little bit. I haven't changed anything. I'm still in the same position, but I'm just trying to tell you how dynamic that gets with different things in the house kicking in and out, kicking on and off rather, pertaining to energy usage and consumption. But the clouds are rolling in, and that's why you're seeing that variance there in terms of the up and down for solar. Okay, so let's go to solar, and it's going to be the same thing as if you clicked in on the bubble twice. First click on the bubble just shows you. Hold on, guys, let me show you. What is producing, and then the second, while that's there, you click it again, it takes you right into all the statistical data. So I'm going to go back off of that, and I'm going to, across the bottom you have now. So the next option is solar, which shows you the same data as I described to you pertaining to the statistic if you just clicked in twice on the bubble. And we just went through that pertaining to so if I do the same thing here, you go week, day, week, month, year, bill, all that good stuff. Or if you click on the graphs itself, oh, I'm sorry, this triangle here, it takes you into that same usage page that you can look at all that nice, handy data. All right, so we're not going to go through solar already. This is it. It shows you all the good information. Discuss a lot of that trends. All right, so here you can do a lot of cool stuff. This is the one, this is new, right? So you can customize alerts to keep your tab. I'm sorry, you can customize alerts to keep tab on your energy use. I haven't done it because I haven't played with it yet. Let's put it like that. So we're not going to go into that. I'm not going to talk about it because I don't know what it is. I just clicked on it. See, so it tells you what it is. Add new, example, budgets. I want all. See, so look how you can do this. This is pretty cool. I want my always on to be under 900 watts at any time. So you can set these goals, these budgets. So I guess it will give you alert and say this and that, you've exceed or you're coming up on exceeding. So watch your energy usage and tell you all that kind of stuff. I don't know if I'm gonna ever get that extreme on it. The one thing I promised my family after putting solar in that I wasn't gonna change their quality of life much. Waste is waste. I don't support waste. We won't waste. What I will do is I don't want to make them uncomfortable as well. So I let them run the house as normal with the exception of certain exceptions, right? But typically it's as normal, hence why you're seeing 60s and 70 kilowatts in some of our scenarios. Okay, moving right along, that's trends. You get the idea. If you click in on the graph here, guess what you're gonna see for usage? Maybe not. Oh, there it is. So the same thing you saw on some of the previous usage, and it's the same story, right? So that's that. So and then here we go. This is the fun stuff you guys been waiting for. Across the bottom again, we're going to devices. Boom. This is a list of all the currently identified devices in my home. So let's go through that. Always on is always on. I told you other, all right? And then you have the AC, which is off at this current time. So what's good about this is that, let's play with it a little bit. If I kick on the AC right now, and it will show all the information, the utilization information in here as well. So let's turn the AC back on so you guys can see that transpire. And just like it is doing currently, is dynamic. It's showing you the dynamic utilization for the always on and the other. And once the AC come on, it'll come on. So blender device one, that's what I was telling you guys, which I have yet to identify. Once I identify, I can name it, and then it'll be that until I change that device or start working. See, the AC just kicked on. It took priority. It was the last thing in, and showing you its utility. I'll let it run for a little bit while we go through this list. Blender, device one, disposal, dryer, heat one, see, so the heat source. A device is more like something like a, what's a good thing? Let's say the Amazon Cube or a printer or something like that. And then you have options. The heat source, that's going to be something that has an element associated with it that generates some kind of heat in one form or another. And then you have such motors and certain things like that. So, you know, it just depends, right? So we have like 4 heat sources. I still have to identify. I'm sure a lot of it is associated with the stove. Because I know I have a few of the burners. And the one thing I'll show you guys that's so awesome about this. So let's say all 4 of these heat sources here are the stove. So you're gonna be like, what? You're gonna have 4 stoves? No, what you can do, you can merge So if this is burner, if I figure out heat source 1 is the small burner on the right side of the stove, I can label it small burner, right side. But I can merge that into just the bottom line stove category, which is right down here in the kitchen, stove kitchen. And I can merge that, and I'll show you exactly how I can do that. So all 4 of these burners will be under that stove. And so it don't matter which one come on, only thing gonna pop up is stove. And now it's trying to, everything, all these will be associated with the stove. So it makes it very, very convenient. Rather than saying, oh, well, I have to have, you can get specific now. Some people, it's just to each is their own. If you want to know which burner is working and you want to know that information specifically, then you don't merge it. Then you just name it what it is. And that way, when it comes up, you can track that burner. And over time, you can say, yep, well, you only use these 3 burners. You never use these other burners. And you can know what the utilization of the stove. I mean, if you're that anal retentive. I mean, but to each is their own. I'm not. I just want to know the stove utilization combined. And so I don't care whether it's the oven. Well, I want to know the difference between the oven and the stove. Our oven rarely gets used anyway, so, but we do have it identified. It's right there. All right, so where we at? So, yep, so device, disposal, kitchen dryer, all these heat sources that I have yet to label, which I'll show you how that gets done. Kitchen ice maker Tuesday. I think I need to combine those two. And it's something, sometimes it can get erroneous, and I'm monitoring the two to see if it may be the sense mechanical algorithm. The one day was a variance, maybe the ice load up the motor because it was trying to break ice up, and it just loaded up higher than it normally been, or it was doing that for a while, and then it identified it as still an ice maker, but it just created a new profile, which could have been the reason for this. But I'll find out. If I don't see it come on again for over a month or something like that, then I just delete it out of the profile, that way, out of the list. That way it's not a factor anymore. Iron master bedroom, you have that light one I still have to identify. Microwave, oven, plastic kettle, ream, water heater, stove, toaster, washer. Okay? And then, so you can click into any one of these from here as well. So let's look at that light one scenario. Where is it at again? Here, it's down here. Okay, so that light one, I can go into this directly. I'm showing you, and you can see its frequency, how it's been coming on, when it's been coming on. For the month, there's a few on and off scenario. How much energy has been utilizing? It's not much. Like I said, all the lights in the house, with the exception of a few fluorescents in the kitchen and in the laundry room, which I have yet to change over, which I'll do at some point. It's only 0.8 of a kilowatt, right? 9 cents over the time, 42 times it's been on, a total time of 3 hours. A lot of good information, ain't it? And then if you go into usage, you know what the usage screen looks like again, blah, blah, blah. All right. Nothing relevant. It's showing you the cost of what it probably is going to cost, based on its current trending, but that may change. It's saying it's been off for 13 hours, it says the light has been off for 13 hours, 3 minutes, 4 minutes. All right, so while we're in here, let me show you what I'm talking about. So you see up to the right-hand corner where the gear icon is, you have the 2 green icons here. So if I click in on that, right, see, it gives you a whole device settings for that particular device, and you can manage. So you have the options. So when we're doing the timeline, the trending graph, you can choose to have this device pop up there or not pop up, your choice. Same thing here with the notification. I can get it to notify me when it comes on and when it goes off, which I have enabled. So I can kind of backtrack it down to a specific time. So I know if it's in the morning or it's in the evening, and can, based on what the family is doing, I can determine, isolate it down to a local area, and then play with the devices or the lights in that area to see if I can induce a response. And once I do, I just label it, and it becomes permanent. All right, and then you have, under detail, you have options. This is where you would make all the changes in terms of labeling it to what it needs to be, as well as the make and model and the location, just to be thorough, right? And whatever other additional notes, what I'm saying? So, for example, right, it turns on automatically when no one was home. Yeah, whatever. So if you click on name, right? And then see what it did. This was another feature after I had my Sense that they came out with a community name. So what Sense do is it look at the signature for this, and then it will give you a list of options. This one was definitive to light because of how certain the mechanical algorithm was, and it compared it against all the hundreds of or thousands of Sense users across the U.S. And this signature was either 99% accurate to a light signature. So that's the option it gave. Some of the other ones is less certain about, which I'll show you. It gives you a lot more options, and I'll go into a few of those just so you can see. So I can change all that and then update it, and then boom, it becomes that forever and ever. All right, so let's go back out of that. So that's the scenario you have when you're identifying some of the stuff that just say light, device, motor, or heat. All right, so let's go back, and I'll find something a little more controversial that it doesn't know what it is. Let's go into heat one. And we'll do the same thing, go into the gear icon, and heat one is just heat one. I have everything enabled so I can identify it when it transpires. If I hit heat one again, see? I haven't choose anything for heat one because I don't know. My wife does have a pressure cooker. It's one of the slow cooker things. It does the pressure cooker thing too. I guarantee you that's what that is. And I think it's accurate. But as you can see, it's the mechanical device is only as accurate as 19%. So I won't assume it's that. I'm going to go ahead. If I had it was 99%, I would take it right away and be confident with it. But because I don't know, I'm not going to assume. So, I mean, because the percentage is so far off from 100, I'm going to just wait until she uses it again. And once she uses it again, I'll determine if it's accurate, and then I'll select it or whatever. And then we can see. But these are other things that it says potentially. But as you can see, the confidence is low on the rice cooker, which the pressure cooker, rice cooker, they're one of the same things. You know, you have different mode options for it. So, and she does make rice in it as well. So, you know, it may come out to be one of those things. Maybe there'll be a difference between one pressure cooking and rice cooking and so on and so on. Just the overall utilization. That's the appliances I'm not too competent on, but I get the gist. All right, coffee maker, again, 7%, oven, 10%. I doubt it's going to be an oven. Iron, 13% could possibly be because we have more than one irons in the house, right? All right. So that's what that does. So it gives you options. It makes it quite easy. You know, it's not as esoteric or difficult as you would think. It's a lot of information, but you get used to it if you just play with it, and that's all I did. You have to know special sessions to make it to comprehend what this does and how it does it. All right, so AC still going, always on still going. Other is up obviously because I think other jumped up because we're running the air handler. That motor, that AC motor in there is not. Once I identify that AC motor in there, the only thing I have to do is name it. I don't even have to name it, but I will, AC motor, and then I'll merge it to the AC. And then it don't matter. Those two numbers will be combined. So instead of it being an other now, it'll be under AC. So AC will probably be a little bit higher, probably about 32 or 33 watts, 33.2 kilowatts. And that's it. And then other will be constantly be lower, and they won't have that inflation and consumption every time the AC comes on. It's cool. Yo, guys, I'm telling you, it's cool. I'm trying to restrain myself, but I get excited about this stuff. It's just fun, managing your energy and being able to have a direct influence on it the way you can. It's just fun to have, man. And especially if you find it fun, then you make it fun in being a little more energy conservation, right? Utilizing energy conservation, being a little more energy conservative, and makes it good for you, your neighborhood, your state, your country, and the world. All right, fossil fuels, right on. Okay, so I hope everyone got the gist of this. Again, if there's anything that I could have said that I didn't say and you picked up on it, please just do what you do. It's YouTube, make your notes, send your message, and I'll try to do it for you at my soonest convenience. All right. All right, and last but not least is settings. All right, this is the joy. So we're not going to go into the account information because I don't feel like having to blot out my account information. Duh. It's simple, right? Notifications we can do. So as what this is saying is basically device detection. So every time it gets a new device, it can push you a notification via email and via your notification bar on your devices. I have that elected because I want to know every time we have a new device in play. Then you have monitor offline. So if the monitor go offline because the network is down or it lost connection to the network, it notifies you. Boom, good to go. And then you have the monthly email report. This is new. Yep, usage report for. So you know what we're gonna do? We're gonna turn that on too. This is new. This wasn't here. So now I'll get a monthly notification saying, hey, this is your usage for the month, rather than me having to come look for it. Oh, they're making it too easy. I'm loving it. All right, so that's your notification, guys. Go back out of that. My home. So I still may have to blot out some stuff, but that's fine. I want to show you this stuff. My home is, you can name it whatever. And Florida, of course, you guys know that's where I am. Electricity costs, we pay 11 cents per kilowatt here with Seco, and my billing cycle starts on the 25th. So that's that, and it tells you that good old information. Sense monitor, this is some good stuff. So, yep, I'm gonna have to blot out that stuff because there's some pertinent information there that I don't want the world to have. However, on the top here where it says monitor, and you guys will see from the left what it is. So I'll make sure that the stuff that are sensitive to my system is blotted out, and that way I didn't deprive you from seeing the page, but I protect my privacy as well, and my equipment privacy, which is my privacy. But you see what it is. Wi-Fi, yeah, the garage. I have throughout my house, I have what you call RE7000. I have a Linksys Wi-Fi solution here, and they're repeaters. They can be access points. It can be all kind of stuff. There's a slew of options for them. But because my house is dense in the walls and all that stuff, just to optimize signal strength from one side of the house to the next, especially through the garage, which are penetrating concrete walls, I needed to put these devices in. So the good thing about the one in the garage is that the one in the garage can run multiple stuff. So it's running the Sense, it's running the garage door opener, it's running the gateway for the Tesla system, it's running the what else? Sense, garage door opener, gateway for the Tesla, and I think some other stuff that I have there. But nonetheless, and it doesn't have to try to get back into the main router because that amplifier, that repeater is boosting the energy, which penetrates the wall better than the device themselves can, and then it talks with the router directly, which gives a stronger signal to the devices and vice versa. All right, so cool stuff. And so come down, of course, you have solar enable. You can disable it for whatever reason. You might have to do that. But when you first get the device, it's going to be disabled. So you have to enable it. Whether you get the solar one or the non-solar one, the both come deactive or disabled. So you have to enable it, and then it goes through a setup process to calibrate the CTs to your solar, which isn't too bad. I just want to let you guys know, if for whatever reason you do it and it says it fail, don't be discouraged. Try it a couple times, and if it keeps saying fail, then just delete the application and reinstall the application, and boom, it's gonna work. I struggled for a week with mines, trying to why can't I get this? I was all in my, I extended my CTs out to my gateway panel, or actually to the combiner box on the outside, and that way it's the solar is directly off the solar leg coming from the inverter. And man, I struggled to get this thing to work. And it was all because, and the only reason I discovered it was the application wasn't reconciling correctly is because I began to research web the web interface UI, the web UI for Sense, and I found that they had one, and I was like, oh, cool. And I load the web UI, and once I load the web UI, boom, Solar was there and it was working. I'm like, what? And I went back to the app. I said, well, maybe it started to work. I went back to the application. It still wasn't working. It was still showing as disabled, and it wasn't showing up. And I was like, okay. So I deleted the app and reinstalled the app. Bam, it was working. So yeah, if you do the process and it comes back as fail or whatever error, if it gives you any kind of error a few times and you can't get it to work, don't be discouraged. It's probably worked. It's just not reconciling correctly. So what you can do to make sure it's working is just get the web UI, get it on your computer going, have it up, and then do the process for the Solar. And then once Solar fails on the application, then check your web UI and see if it's working. And I'm sure you will be, and it'll be good to go. All right, factory reset, we all know what that is. And then, of course, your signal. So what I told you guys about the CTs earlier, the CTs on the mains right here, each leg carries a certain amount of breakers. And the only difference is that when you're on 120 voltage operation, right? You're is it okay? So this is a 110 voltage operation. You're gonna be really not 110. It's 120. So you're gonna be you're on one leg, which is one of your mains coming into your house. I'm sorry for the deliberation there, guys, but if you're 240, then you're bridged across both mains. And so you're doubling basically what each main is providing individually, which gives for your stoves, your dryer, your AC, that kind of voltage operation or voltage operation. All right, so as you can see, the Solar right now on each leg is producing 3.1 kilowatt, and the voltage is on each main is 121 volts, 0.7 if you want. As you can see, they're constant, and they should be very close to one another, and they shouldn't vary. What you're going to find on the vary is the watts being utilized, right? Because it just depends on what device is running off of what. Right now, the AC is across both, and that's the largest consumer being ran right now. So the numbers are going to be very comparable because it's going to be an equal draw. Whereas if we're just running the dishwasher or something that's just a 120 volt operation or appliance, 120 volt appliance, then that might be on line main 1 or main 2 or leg 1 or leg 2, L1. They're called load 1, load 2, right? It can be an either or, and whichever one is odd, that's where you're going to see the higher wattage consumption or draw. All right. So total, it tells you how much active device. This is a device detection field here, and it shows you how much active devices have been found so far on my system, which is 20. And that number is cumulative, right? And then learn more. You can go into this and do something. We'll click on it just for the sake. And you can go in and do a lot of research and check stuff. But that's for device, and it also gives you this on other screens as well for learning more. So if that's what you need to do, that's what you want to do, then you can do it. Well, I think we're at the end of it, right? All right, so with that said, let's just go back and see what we see. We already done that. Make sure that we went into that. That's all good. And then there was one other thing here, general. Show solar bubble. So I can kick that off, and then the solar bubble would disappear off the screen. I know you guys want to see it, right? Of course. All right, so I click that off, and then the solar bubble, and that general is going to probably increase or change. See, so now we no longer see the solar bubble. It's not there, even though if you look here to the left middle, we are producing 6.1 kilowatts of solar energy. Why would you want the bubble not to show? I have no idea. But more options. This is constant. This wasn't here a few months ago. They added this, and they're doing more and more advancements to the application and options for you to customize the sense to the best operational state for your liking. All right, that was a mouthful, and of course, you know I'm long-winded, and I like to be as thorough as I possibly can. We didn't do help, of course, and you can see you find a lot of information in here. The install guide is in here, the walkthrough. I mean, there's a lot of good stuff. I know. Do you want me to really click on that, guys? Yeah, you do. I know you do. And so you can, I mean, they're thorough. You see, this is kind of what I was telling you. See how it's bridged? Preferably, even though it's monitoring, so it monitors that line voltage coming in from two-throw breaker, which is typically associated with the high energy devices, such as, like I said, the AC, the stove, the water heater, the dryer, and those type of stuff. So that way you can monitor those two legs direct, right? And then remember I told you about the detached antenna. See how you put that external to the box there, and so you don't create a Ferrite condition where you block all your signal and you can't get a connectivity. And then of course your two CTs coming in on your two mains right here. See, boom, boom, boom. And if you had solar, which it depends on the kind of solar scenario you'll have, you would have two additional CTs. And if you're just doing solar without a battery backup, and you have the gateway and this is just solar right into your to two breakers, you would just click them in here. Since I am not doing that, my solar goes to the gateway, it goes to a box external to my house. You have to, I had to run mine external because there's no way to see the solar feed in here, because the solar feed is actually going to come in via the, solar power is going to come in via the mains because of the gateway for the Tesla system. I already went through all that with you guys. We're not going to go back into that. I was going to see if they show you the difference here for solar, if they had a illustration for solar. Yeah, they do have the two plug scenario here. But it shows you its detail, right? How comprehensive the instruction is here. Guys, it's a great company. It's a great device. I mean, I'm not getting no kickback by telling you that. I'm just telling you my experience. The walkthrough, all right? So it's the walkthrough, right? It's just basic, right? Just telling you the reality and then get done, blah, blah, blah. We're not going to do that. Get started and you go into that business with all the defining what you got to do. We're not going to do that. If you go this path, guys, you're going to love it and you'll have fun doing it. Troubleshooting, community forum, contact us. They're very good. They are very good about getting back to you on the question and answer. Support and frequently asked questions is very thorough. There's a lot of information in there. Hopefully you won't need it. I didn't need a lot of it, but I just like looking through that stuff to kind of see what the idiosyncrasies are for certain devices. All right, guys, let's wrap this up because you guys can hate me for these in-depth videos. Hopefully you don't, because this is how I like it. And I always get so frustrated when people just give you a little tidbit into something and then you see all these things on the journey and you're like, whoa, what about that? Speak about that. And they don't. And you're like, frustration. All right, so as you can see, back to the now page, the initial now page, you can see we are producing energy a lot. And we are consuming a lot of good energy. This is 3 kilowatts, which is half of what we're producing, which is excellent, right? Because it's free. I'm cooling the house for free. And back into the trending graph here, you see what it's doing. It's trend, usage, concurrent with the reality. And if I condense it back, we can see where the AC kicked in. Boom. See that? Is historical. So we can trend back and see what happened at certain times. And that's brilliant. And I can tell you exactly when that AC kicked in. See the timeline there as I move it? And I go right there and the AC kicked in at 108 exactly and it's 134. So again, I'm running the house a little hot today because I wanted to show you guys a little example of the AC, the bubbles, all the different transitionals. So I had the AC off waiting for this video. So now I'm probably let it run for a while. Depends if my battery, I want to get the 2 batteries completely charged before the children get home. That way when they start consuming I don't have to try to make up that difference later on in the day when the thunderstorms come in. In the winter, I won't have to worry about that, but we know that here in Florida, thunderstorms come in anywhere from 3 to 4 o'clock. So I want to make sure the batteries are fully charged prior to that time. That way, once they come in, I don't have to worry about them not getting fully charged before the evening and then there being a deficit. I don't like that because the more charged they are, we get through the night. And that's good because we're not consuming any energy. I'm not so interested in putting stuff back to the energy back to the grid. That's gonna occur. But right now, I'm just looking to utilize the system in its fullest capability. All right, guys. I promise. I keep saying I'm going to shut this down, and I'm doing it now. This is that. This is the last of that. As usual, if you have any questions, just ask. I'll do my best to get back to you guys. I'm trying to get. This is the last of the application-based scenarios. So what we're going to start doing, I'm going to try to probably do it tomorrow and every day for this week. Video episode on load, the house usage. I wanted to kind of wait probably till the winter when we get the higher pressures where the clouds cease to exist as much. That way we can have constant energy and I can do things right. But I may just start doing them because I can't wait for that. I don't want to deprive you guys of this information. I know a few of you guys have reached out to me personally and you're already in the process of getting your systems. And for the remainder of you who are thinking about it, I want you to have information to work with. You know what I mean? Because I wish I had comprehensive videos when I was making the decision to buy mines, because it would have made the decision I would have made the decision a lot sooner based on what I now know about solar energy, especially through Tesla. I won't deceive you. The wait can be protracted at times. However, it's worth it. So the AC just kicked off, and you see that drop, and we're still waiting on the air handler to kick off, and then we'll be maximizing our potential towards charging up those batteries. Actually, let's just take a quick look. Where are we on the batteries? And again, this is going to be part of the comprehensive, actually the energy consumptions. When we start doing, you'll start to see how the batteries charge, how they're affected relative to the okay, we're at 77%. How the batteries affect relative to the home usage, right? During the week when the kids are at school, the wife's at work, it's gonna be excellent. We know that. I will not do a lot of change. I'll let the house run as normal. Then you'll see as the kids come home and they start to turn things on and do things and consume, which they are very good at consuming, then you'll see the load kick in and start to see how the battery transfers. So that will probably be battery, solar, grid interaction. That's what that's going to be. And I'll probably just screen record the Tesla app. Very little narration. We'll just kind of let it speak for itself, right? I'll label it what it is, and we let that go. Certain explanations for certain things, okay? All right, guys. Well, that's that. So appreciate you guys. Love you guys. Continuing to make good videos for good people. God bless you all, and I'll see you on the next one. Take care. God bless. Bye.